Hello, and welcome to the Enovia Conversation. I'm Steve Waltz.
And I'm Jeff Progulski.
And Jeff, summer is kind of winding to an end. We're back from our vacations, and we thought maybe we should do another podcast.
That's right. And because it is we're in the dog days of summer, we needed two people, two special guests, right, to help us with today's episode.
That's right. You know, we're excited to have two of our very own. We got Keith and Ben with us. Hi, guys.
Hey, Steve. Jeff.
Hey. All right. So with that awkward introduction, Steve, if it were me, I'd at least give I would use their full name, like Keith Sayer and Ben Lane. But that's just me. We're a little different.
We're on first name basis here on the podcast.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So what the heck are these guys doing at Enovia now? Let's learn a little bit about, first of all, can we just start by saying what are you what's your current role at Enovia?
Yeah, I'm Keith Sayer. I'm the Power Platform team lead at Enovia as of June of this year.
Power Platform team lead.
That's right.
Steve, did you even know that we had a Power Platform team?
Is that something to do with Microsoft?
Yeah, and so it's a team. So I assume that that Ben is a teammate of yours.
Yeah, correct. Ben joined our team here in the summer. He's been interning with the Power Platform team. So I'll let him kind of introduce himself a little bit.
Yeah, hey, I'm Ben. I've started with Enovia in June on the Power Platform team with Keith as an intern, and it's going pretty good. I'm learning quite a bit about the Power Platform and other Microsoft things.
Nice. So Ben, got a question for you. So all the acronyms, have you been just I didn't realize how many letters and how many acronyms there are in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I got to get clarification from Keith and see if we're talking about the same thing or not.
Nice. So, well, we're glad to have you on the team, and a couple months kind of coming in, and maybe we'll kind of we'll go reverse order. How about you tell us a little bit about your background and how Keith brought you into his team? How about that?
Yeah, I've primarily been in landscaping and really into data within that and just tracking cost versus estimates and everything. And I started school back in January of 2020. And sort of just been going full time with that until this past May, and had a break over summer and was kind of looking for a position or something to fill the time. And Keith had the new team, was putting the new team together, and everything just kind of fell in place with that.
Oh, awesome. Well, great. And Keith, maybe you can tell us about your journey to Enovia and then your journey to your new position. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is actually in marketing. I started with Enovia in January of last year in the marketing team. And before that, I was a marketing manager at a transportation technology company that offered truck driver surveys and rewards programs, essentially to try to improve retention rates in the industry. So aside from the day-to-day marketing tasks, one of the key things that I did was take the data that we collected from all those surveys and write up reports based on what we were seeing. They were kind of like industry snapshot reports, and they ended up being actually widely circulated and picked up by some of the industry outlets. So that was kind of my exposure to working with data. As well as a CRM system and marketing automation. And those were the things that I really came into Enovia to really focus on in the marketing side. So kind of starting on marketing, I learned all the skills in the Microsoft stack when I came over here. And then so because of that focus on data and automation, that really naturally led me into going into the Power Platform. So I started really digging into it and applying what I was learning directly here at Enovia. So that meant, designing reports and dashboards that we use, the metrics that we report on, and automating all kinds of things across the boards. One of the simple examples of how I sort of applied that immediately to what I was doing was I started automating some social media posting. So I created some flows that would post messages to LinkedIn and Twitter when certain events were posted on the website, as well as delaying posting on blogs so that we would get we'd get the initial rush, but then there would be a couple weeks down the line, the thing would automatically tweet again. So it would kind of remind people of that blog that we'd posted. And all that occurred really in the background. So when we were looking to expand our company into offering formal Power Platform services, I kind of said, hey, let's do that. Let's kind of apply what we've done at Innovia, for our customers.
Very cool. And Jeff, it was kind of like all of a sudden these magical things reports would show up and the CRM actually started humming better. And it's like, how did that happen? It was Keith. It was like I was wondering if he was working with you to find a way to get his way out of marketing and have to work with Tim anymore. I was always wondering if that was part of the case. So, but hi, Tim. Anyway, but it was really cool. And I think of a lot of the things that you did, how you automated a lot of our stuff internally and just made our life as a customer engagement team that much easier. And if there was a promotion, well-deserved, Keith.
I was going to say that's an example of don't do your job too well because you will be handed a different one. Or and actually, when you were talking about that, using flows to automate some social media, I remembered a fond memory of when I blew up Steve's email using Microsoft Flow and some Twitter hashtags, but we'll save that. So actually that was going to be sort of my leading into my next question about just about in general, what is the Power Platform and what do you like about it? For people who aren't familiar, certainly the Microsoft ecosystem continues to grow and change, and Power Platform is probably one of the newest platforms and so maybe give us a high level overview of that and maybe tell us what you like about it.
Sure. I think I'll just kind of start by running through what it entails. And there's really 4 parts of the Power Platform that really work together. The first one is Power BI, which is what we talked about with reports and dashboards. So that's where you can connect up to all your data sources. You can build all your visualizations and kind of build those reports that people like to see and that can help you understand data a little bit better, especially when you have it from all sorts of different sources. Brings it all together and makes it into the reports that you need. The second component of that is what we talked about, Power Automate. Used to be called Microsoft Flow. So you'll still kind of hear people talking about flows when they're talking about these processes. And essentially, it's all about automation. But the really cool thing I think about Power Automate is that the automation isn't just in one system. So one thing that could happen in one place can create an action that occurs somewhere completely different through Power Automate. And it sort of bridges the gap, connecting to those things and saying, okay, this happened, let's go through a logical flow and then make this happen over here, or perhaps back to the same system, just depending on your circumstances. So that's really sort of how Power Automate is really cool. And then Power Apps is all about, developing your own applications. So that could be like on a phone, it could be on your PCs, it could be a tablet focused app. And the idea there is that Microsoft has created all these different connectors that let you access that data in all your systems and work with it in a user interface that you design. So that's really cool to be like, so, okay, we want to really take care of a specific function in a very streamlined way. You can design that in a Power App and then actually have the results occur back in your base system. So, a simple example of that is, putting in an order while you're standing in front of the customer and it's back in your ERP system for you. So you can kind of design those kind of things and iterate very quickly. It's designed to be low code. So even if you're not a developer, you can really iterate on what you're producing and kind of make changes through it. And the last is Power Virtual Agents. And that essentially lets you make your own chatbots and kind of set up the logic for how those interact with people, like either on a website, social media, or even in Teams. But yeah, I guess, Ben, do you want to kind of share a bit from your perspective about what you like about the Power Platform, kind of coming in a bit fresh?
Yeah, I like how easy it is and how quick it is to kind of access everything and connect everything together. You know, I came in with zero experience of anything. I didn't even know how to log into Business Central. And so being able to come in and see how quickly it was to just connect it all together using your same Microsoft login, and all the additional things it can connect to also, like QuickBooks, Twitter, LinkedIn, Azure, Dataverse. It really simplifies everything and makes it pretty easy to pull all of your data and tables into one place. And it doesn't really take much manipulation to get those tables to relate to each other either.
I noticed he said easy a couple times. I wonder why they didn't ask me for that.
Yeah.
Department, right, Jeff?
I was going to ask if you could create a flow that would zap Steve every time he says CRM, or maybe play a gong noise every time I say awesome. Like that would be helpful, wouldn't it, Steve? Like during the podcast,
The system would be overloaded.
Oh, that's true. It'd be like your email that fateful morning in Cleveland. Like it would just be blowing up, right?
It was blowing up. And so, but I think, when I actually had a call earlier, a couple of us were on a call with a potential customer, and the CEO of the company, really, a lot of the questions he was asking is so different from 2 or 3 years ago. Right. And his whole mindset was, okay, it's great, but I want to see this stuff. I want to see it from my devices, right? I want to see it from my iPhone or my tablet. And I just want to know things. Do you have that capability of doing that? I'm like, oh, yes, we do. Right. But it's a cool thing. And, Ben, you're coming over to a totally different world, right? You're in the ERP world, and you're going to find out that a lot of these companies have multiple platforms, and so you try to get all these data sources, and how do you pull the data in and then get these beautiful reports that the owner or the CEO of this thing can push a button and it easily happens, right? So I think it's cool that behind the scenes you guys make it happen. I mean, tell me something that really excites you about at the early stage that we are at. I mean, we just started the team. And it's so early in the game, right? I like to use the baseball analogy, right? We're in the first innings, first or second, right? And you're starting to see the game develop. I mean, so I guess the question I have is, what excites you about it, and where do you see it now, and where do you think you see it going?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's kind of really to what you were talking about, Steve. That I really think the Power Platform has the potential to really change the way that people do business, because the tools work across all those systems that you were talking about, and each of them is each of those tools is going to be connecting something from one place into something from another, and in a reality where that's often the case, where we have so many different systems, when they don't talk and the data doesn't connect at all, that's really a big problem. And it's a problem that Power Platform, I think, is equipped to handle. So I know from experience that one of the biggest time sinks that people have is moving information from one place to another in their systems, and maybe transforming it if it doesn't fit that schema of the new system into something else. And then another big time sink is just be like saying, okay, well, something happened over here. I know that the person who needs to know about it isn't going to see it if it goes through there, so we're going to notify them over on this other system. So an example might be, somebody who doesn't check Business Central every day, something happens in there that has to go to like the CEO or something. Well, we could send it through a Teams message with Power Platform or whatever that person happens to use more frequently, email, you name it. So with something like Power Automate, all that back and forth, which, let's face it, that people always make errors with that kind of stuff just because it's one of those things that you're doing it over and over again, and that just happens. But so when you eliminate that and it's doing it automatically, you kind of know it's always going to be done right because it's always going to be happening kind of without fail as long as the programming has been set. So that's what's really cool to me is I can see a scenario where all of that is really helping a lot of businesses really work more efficiently. Kind of offload some of the grunt work that people don't like to do, and really kind of get them focused on what excites them in the day.
Yeah, I would add to that I think one of the challenges that businesses face is in sort of breaking free of the silos of each application, is the cost and licensing, to like, okay, I want to get someone, maybe I don't want to give my sales staff all BC licenses because they're doing in there is looking up orders or checking on the status. Can we, is there a way that we can use a Power App to, when properly licensed, go in and enter in a customer name and have it report back at open orders, or and so the idea that that it's a low threshold from a development perspective and low code, no code solutions, but then also really cost effective solutions, because most of the SKUs that you're licensing around this Power Platform are like in the $10 per user per month range, right? So I think that opens up a lot of possibilities, and that's gonna bring some big changes to business software over the next few years.
And so like say somebody has Business Central, can they use that with Business Central? Do they need to invest in Office 365? Or if you can have the optimal system, to make this thing hum, what do you need?
Well, each of the products has a slightly different licensing schema, but really kind of depending on your what you're trying to accomplish. Probably the simplest example is if you're wanting Power BI dashboards and reports, it's just it's a $10 a month fee to add a pro license to your account per user. And that gives you all the access you need for most applications. Each of the tools has a little bit of a different schema, and some of them are going to actually be included with some of the other things you're purchasing. So for example, if you have the Office E5 subscription already, then the Power BI Pro is just included in that. So you can start using that today, really. So each of those products has a slightly different way that it's doing that, but there's a lot of bundling and that it can be really cost effective depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Right, because I know some of the licenses, when I go on the Microsoft website and look at all the Microsoft 365, I keep saying Office. It's still, we have people here call it Navision.
Right.
So maybe in a couple of years I'll start calling it Microsoft 365, and there's a lot of different SKUs, and so it sounds like they can custom pick what they want versus by this whole bundle, right? That they wouldn't need.
Yep. And what we can do with that is we can be like talking through the process that you want to work through, and then match an appropriate plan to what you're trying to accomplish.
So, Jeff, you do a lot of demos, and, both with existing Business Central Nav customers and people that are considering a Microsoft product. In those conversations when you're doing demos, is that becoming more like, I want to see that, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, actually, I have already used some content that Keith and Ben have created for me, and I actually start every Business Central demo in in the Office 365 or Microsoft 365 portal, and I go into, Outlook being a connected, your connected business inbox. I go in and show some Power BI reports, and now Keith's got a Power Automate approval process in there. So I think a big part of the value of being on Microsoft Dynamics ERP is the fact that it is integrated, and you can leverage all these other tools. Like in a lot of cases, like all you need is the right username and password, and then you're off to the races. Your data is available as long as you understand the data structure, and you can automate some processes. But absolutely, every single demo, that's where we start, is in this in the Power Platform.
Yeah, and that when you mention the approvals, I think it's worth mentioning that one of the cool things about that is when you do an approval through Power Automate, it's it's just a button in your Outlook that you can click without ever leaving your email. So if you have an approver, that you can set it up to give them all the information they need about that item they have to approve. They can just see it, click a button, and it's done. Like it happens right in their Outlook, and then Business Central goes from there and does what it needs to do. So that's a really cool feature, I think, to kind of save you a little bit of time.
And Jeff, when you said Outlook, I kept thinking, being a salesperson and dealing with salespeople a lot, I'm living more in Outlook. I mean, like we now have co-video, right? We can send a video message, and it's integrated in Outlook. I mean, you have, there's all these things like even PayPal or whatever you want to do. You can do it in Outlook and not have to leave it. And as a a person that's more on the sales side of things, I really appreciate it, enjoy it. I feel like I'm more productive when I'm in there, because it's just like there it is. I don't have to keep going from one system to the other, and I think that's very cool. And so that the team is evolving. So Ben, you are employee number 1, right? 1A, I guess, the hiree to this team. And Keith, do you have aspirations? Where do you see? I mean, like I said, we're early in it as you're growing and evolving. How do you see the team evolving?
So yeah, that's a great question. So I think I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I think there's actually 3 phases of growth that I'm sort of thinking we'll see. First of all, and we'll see this very soon, is we'll see us directly contributing to just about every ERP project that Innovia does. And that's just because things like Power BI, Power Automate, they can fit just about any company. There's a real good business case for most of these tools, because everybody wants to see, what's going on at the company. Everybody has things that they want to automate. So one of the things I've been working through is kind of making a list and talking to our project teams and saying, hey, look, these are the things that when you're setting up a new ERP system, they should really consider the Power Platform way to do it, because it could be much more efficient for them. So that's sort of the first phase, and that's us kind of going in and contributing to a project from our area of expertise and helping that ERP implementation go as smoothly as it possibly can. So that's kind of like the first stage that I think. Then secondly, I think at some point we'll be doing our own full-blown Power Platform projects. So, the thing that I think that's might focus on primarily is like in a Power App situation. So we're actually developing it with them, designing and iterating. We're working through a challenge that they're trying to solve, and creating this Power App in conversation with the client, and then deploying it to their system, and then supporting them as they go into that. So that's sort of the second phase. Once people start seeing these tools, they start thinking about, oh, well, what can we do? What can we do with this? They'll start coming and saying, hey, can you help us, put this project through? So that's what I think is really going to be the second part of this. And then at some point, I really think that the way the Microsoft marketplace works, there's a real opportunity that we can sort of find the solutions that work for a lot of different customers and package them and market them as sort of standalone products. So that's going to come after we really get in there with customers. We really understand what people are asking for and what they want. And so then what we'll be able to do is devote some time to building something, and then that people will be able to bring that into their company through all the Microsoft marketplaces, like things like AppSource and the Power BI application market, Power Apps, and solutions as well. So each of these stages, I think, is going to we're going to see it come through sort of step by step. But at the end, I think what we'll end up be doing is really sort of a mix of all three of those things. We'll sort of be dividing our time between all three of them, because I think they're really additive rather than necessarily, okay, we're done with that and going to the next. So by the end of it, I think we'll be doing, sort of a little bit of all that.
Oh, because question I had is we have project teams,
right, and
so when we're doing either a planning engagement or a customer engagement specialist is talking to them, I kept thinking, all right, so would that be Keith's team working with the project team, or to be a member of your team on that specific project? Or, I mean, how do you see you engaging with the project teams on these type of add-ons?
Yeah, so I think that in many ways we'll be working very closely with the project teams as they assess what the customer's after. They kind of work through the process, and then once they know that a Power Platform solution is the way they want to go, then they will pass it kind of on to us. We'll assign somebody from our team to kind of step in there and work on that project. So I think in some ways we'll be working very closely with them. So, the communication has to stay up. I've been working very closely with the project managers that we already have. And kind of, I did do a presentation internally to our teams and said, hey, these are the things that you can look out for when you're talking to a customer for where to bring us in. So, yeah, I think that I'm sort of seeing it kind of go that way to where, when there's an opportunity, it'll kind of come through us, and then we'll find the person who has the best experience for that particular item and get them assigned and work through the project with that team.
I have a question. When are the robots going to take over? So actually, what I'm thinking of is like when you guys write the Power App that you fill out like a 6-page questionnaire, and we take all of those answers and we automate the implementation of your Business Central system. It'll just like the need for consultants and project managers will be gone. It'll just be like completely self-service. Or maybe I just watch too much science fiction on Netflix or something. But I mean, at some point, like we are going to get to. I mean, when I think about just from what I've learned and what you guys have shown me so far, it certainly looks like even around like our, you've helped the sales team with some dashboards that give us, strategic data that's easily accessed. At some point, the steps that we go through in managing a project, some of those like automated tasks really lend themselves to Power Automate tools and Power Apps, et cetera. So I could see us as we get comfortable with this technology, it really could transform the way that we do business as as a Microsoft partner, and that's just going to be even better for our customers because as these tools become more popular and people are aware of them, like you said, it's going to get to the point where everyone's asking about what can they do and how can their business take advantage of these tools in the same way that we have, because it's always when we're investing in business software, it's like it has to make us more efficient, has to make us more productive, or it's got to lower our costs in some ways. And I think the Power Platform checks all those boxes. Right.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of come back to some of the stuff that we've we've done on the sales side. When I was working in marketing, Steve, you probably know this. There's all sorts of steps in the CRM that now you don't have to worry about. You don't have to enter them. That there's sort of logic built in many cases with Power Automate to sort of say, okay, well, we're at this stage. This is the signal. Let's take these actions. So there's a lot of that that's sort of baked into the background that, people on the sales side don't have to deal with anymore. And it kind of makes them be able to get back to what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. I think of, what you've done. So we use Business Central, we use Dynamics CRM,
mm-hmm.
and to help us take better care of our accounts, like there's a lot of information. Like, so, when customers talk to us about, okay, how can we use our data, to sell more stuff? Well, we were able to list all the different types of companies that we have, right, where they fall under. And then all the ISVs, if you go to AppSource, I think the last time I checked was 700 different add-ons on AppSource. I don't know where it's at now. And, a lot of times it used to be, here's the core ones. We would bring them to our customers and, we would know who used what. Well, now we have end users bringing these add-ons to us. And so Keith created this whole list of like all the ISV add-ons. So if somebody says, well, I'm interested in that, who's using it? Well, you know what? Push a button and boom, there's every one of our customers that's using that add-on. I mean, how powerful is that versus sending out emails or calling people, hey, does your customers use this? It's, those are things kind of behind the scene that we just kind of take for granted, but that data's out there. And, that whole mindset of when it was flow, right? It was if this, then that. And now it's just it's so much more powerful than that. These are the people I want to see this generates this is where it goes. And it's a real cool way to take the data you have, right, and scrub it the way you want to and get it out to whoever you want to get it to. And I think that's, those are the conversations I think, as a team, we're going to be doing more of, Jeff, right? It's okay. We always talk about the 5 whys. Why do you want that? Well, would it be helpful, if you had this information at the push of a button? Well, yeah, it would be. And maybe it's something they didn't know they had access to, but it's more of a setup. And I think it's very cool that you guys are, taking that to this other level. And so with you talked about kind of the different levels of it and kind of like where you see it going in those 3 phases. So I guess, we've talked about, planning for the future. So if you have end users out there that are like, okay, I'm using my ERP system, maybe using CRM, maybe not. But I really, where can I learn more about this? Would it be is there any resources you'd pointed to, conversations with the customer engagement specialist, or if they wanted to reach out to you guys and have a conversation, say, hey, I'm interested in this stuff. I heard this, what would you recommend?
Right. So first of all, we actually do have a webinar coming up very soon that's going to be going into to all the different things about the Power Platform and sort of some Business Central applications. That's on August the 24th. It's called very directly, what is Power Platform and why should I care? That's the title of the webinar. So I'm going to try to explain to you why you should really take a close look at this, especially if you're running Business Central today. Right. So that's a great thing to get started on. You can register for that at the Innovia website. And then also Dynamics Con is coming up. So this is really cool. I'm actually going to be representing the team and doing some Power Platform sessions at that event. One of them is all about building a survey. And I'm actually using the use case of a survey that we ran at Innovia and basically built the whole thing in Power Platform from start to finish. And I'm going to be kind of walking through that, how you can do that, as well as sort of the case study and showing how those flows are constructed. So that's going to be at Dynamics Con. That's coming up here in September. That's a free event, so you can register for that, dynamicscon.com. And then the other presentation I'm doing is also survey related because there's this sort of new product, and I think you talked with Mary about this a little bit, called Customer Voice, which is a survey platform from Microsoft. So a lot of that is based in the Power Platform. The Power Platform is kind of what makes it tick. So I'm going to be talking about that a bit as well at Dynamics Con. So those are some great places to start. We, of course, have sort of a library of Power BI content right now on the Enovia blog. And very soon we'll have a whole section of our website. I've been working with the marketing team to sort of build that out, what that will entail. And I'm pretty excited about what that will have on it as far as what you'll be able to learn about Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Apps as well. So that'll be coming, I think, very soon. So keep an eye on the Enovia website for that one as well.
And I heard we got some going on at NAVOG at the summit coming up in October.
Yeah, we are doing a Power Automate session at that, as well as a Power BI session. So we'll be at that as well.
Very cool. And when you talk about survey, when Mary brought the customer voice, I remember when I used to think of survey, it was like, okay, how was my service, right?
Right.
But I think, Keith, I don't know if I want our listeners to understand that surveys is your customers telling you what they would also like, right?
Right. Exactly.
And sometimes now here's a platform that you can use to kind of hear what your customers maybe. I appreciate you doing this. However, I would kind of like a little bit of this also, right?
Right.
And so I think this is a great tool, very inexpensive tool for companies to communicate better with their current customers on delivering a better experience. I mean, you've done surveys and Mary's done surveys. Am I on the right path with that? Or
oh yeah, for sure. I think that there's a potential to both look backwards as well as look forward with surveys. Market research surveys is a time honored tradition to kind of figure out what people are wanting, what they want to be looking for. With customer voice, you can certainly do it both ways. The cool thing is it's all tied into your Power Platform system. So it'll record all that data. You can access it in a Power App if you want to see what everybody's been saying. And then also it's very easy to make a dashboard in Power BI and then kind of see it visually. And what I think is really cool is with Power Automate, you can analyze each survey that comes in and sort of make different actions based on the responses. So one of the examples that I'm going to be throwing into these DynamicsCon presentations is there's a question that says, that appears only if you have rated that you're highly satisfied with the company. It says, hey, would you like to be featured in one of our customer case studies? It'll show up if they give us a high rating. And then that will send a message to somebody and say, hey, get started on this case study for us internally. So that kind of stuff, we're just kind of getting into it. But, as we think about, hey, does a certain score range, does that indicate something? Do we need to take an action based on that? With Power Automate, you really have the chance to do that quickly, because usually you would run the survey closes, analyze the results. Okay, let's take action now. Whereas with customer voice, having that Power Automate connection, things can happen automatically right away as soon as that survey is submitted.
Oh, that's very cool stuff. So Jeff, I think I'm running out of questions here, buddy.
I'm running out of serious questions as well. The rest of my question list had to do with like any tie-ins with the Power Rangers, and if you guys had favorite Power Rangers, and why isn't your team name somehow related to Power Rangers? But probably our listeners can probably live without that insight. So,
and where's the 365, right? Everything's got 365 with Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
That ad.
It's true.
That's a good point, Steve. So anything, I guess anything from either Keith or Ben that you guys want to share with our listeners while you're on this prestigious platform of our Enovia Conversation podcast? This is, I guess that's a no, Steve. I mean, I guess
we got to do what Donovan says. We got to wait. We got to pause 10 seconds, Jeff.
Oh,
there you go.
Hi, Donovan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah,
Don does not listen to our podcast.
If we put his name on it somehow, he'll.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
that is a good.
Yeah, but it's been good to talk to you guys, kind of share all these things that have been sort of swimming around in my head, like as far as, what we're going to be doing and, getting this all out there. And it's fun to kind of get people's responses and get this out there to people. Some of the stuff that we've been sort of a little bit hush hush about, and now we're getting to the point where we can kind of say, okay, here we are. Here's the Power Platform. Here's what we can do. So that's been really cool to see that transition over these last couple weeks.
And I think, it kind of goes to, the culture at Innovia is, getting in front of things and investing, because we're investing in your team and we're really not at this point, generating any additional revenue. So, the goal is that it's so important that, it's worth the investment because what it's going to do for our customers. And I think that's kind of speaks to our company and especially how we want to lead our customers into this technology transformation. I mean, this whole it's going fast, right? And if a company is thinking, they're just going to sit back and, I get the internet, I get that data out there, but we're just going to keep doing business the same old way. I'm not sure if that's going to be the best path going forward for a lot of companies, right? Because the business models are changing faster than ever before. The need for data to make quicker decisions is accelerating. And I think what you guys are doing is really going to help our customers, and reach out and have a better connection with their customers and use that data to really help service them better and sell more things and, and truly just be, leaders in their industry. So we're excited about having you guys on there and all the educational things. And Jeff, they can find all this stuff on our website. You know how to find it on our website, Jeff? You've been on our website before, haven't you?
Is that I think I have, yes. There's some events and I think that actually in all seriousness, the seeing it in action is really going to open people's eyes. So those upcoming events that you've got are I think are going to be well attended. So with that,
let's have him back in a year. I think let's have him back in a year and we'll kind of say, hey, it's been a year.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
You better watch out because
play it back to me and be like, oh.
Keith is going to create like some sort of automated response where he's going to like ping you in 11 months and then 11 months in 1 week and be like, hey, you said
that's a good idea. Get that flow.
Then we'll take over the podcast by then.
We'll just have robots here, right?
Yes. We need like a. You guys will probably be the transition into like the Azure machine learning and artificial intelligence platform. And pretty soon, Steve and I are like, heck, artificial intelligence is better than what we have, right, Steve? we got nothing, so we take that. But I think it was good to have you guys on, and we're excited to see what your team can do for our customers here at Innovia. Anything else, Steve?
Well, you can. You guys are on LinkedIn if they want to connect with you. So Ben, it would be. I'm assuming you're on LinkedIn, Benjamin Lane and Keith Sayer, and you could, and they'll be happy to connect with you, and you'll be able to see a lot of the stuff that they share. You can obviously go to our website at innovia.com, and as Jeff was alluding to, under resources, you can see upcoming webinars. You can see past webinars. Our recorded library has got to be over about 600 at least. What webinars on there. And then I also know that we do some sessions that people can pay for. That's a little bit more of a deep dive training sessions. And I'm assuming down the road, there'll be possibly some for Power BI, hint, if on Power Automate. I think that's going to be a huge topic and give a chance for companies to kind of hear you guys in action. So thank you very much for being on our podcast today. And Jeff, this podcast is over.